they're never going to catch me using that word nigger.
Keep it 100, I be feeling like Campbell soup over white rice. Baked chicken with the skin on. Yeah, Lowry's with black pepper. I'm fully seasoned with laughter.
So this is an old clip from TYT where Cenk Uygur, the CEO of TYT, said the word nigger with the hard ER over and over and over again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the clip in its entirety of Cenk saying the word nigger, and then I'm going to give additional context so no one can say that I'm taking what he said out of context. After that, I'm going to discuss why even with full context, he's still wrong. So here's the clip.
But this music is not allowed, Jay. I don't know what you're doing. All right, we're going to talk about Dog the Bounty Hunter. He's a tough guy. Oopsie doopsie. Apologizing like crazy now because he totally screwed up. They caught him on tape saying the N-word 6 times. How much does that annoy you, Jay?
The N-word. I don't think we can figure out what that is.
What is it? Nabisco? Nancy?
Neanderthal? I don't know.
All right, well, you're going to hear it for yourself in a second. This is Dwayne Dog Chapman. He has the Bounty Hunter show on. The background on this is confusing. Basically, apparently, his son is dating a black girl, and he apparently already used the N-word, or you're going to hear it in a second, in a previous conversation, and he's worried that she's going to talk about that. So then he calls her that 6 more times in this conversation. And he says he won't get caught using that word. This is awesome. Here's the conversation.
I don't care if she's a Mexican, a whore, whatever. It's not because she's black. It's because we use the word nigger sometimes here. I'm not going to take a chance ever in life of losing everything I've worked for 30 years because some fucking nigger heard us say nigger and turned us into the Inquirer magazine. Our career is over. I'm not taking that chance at all. Never in life. Never. Never. If Lisa was dating a nigger, we would all say, fuck you. And you know that. If Lisa brought a black guy home, yeah, and it's not that they're black. It's none of that. It's that we use the word nigger. We don't mean you fucking scum nigger without a soul. We don't mean that shit. But America would think we mean that. And we're not taking a chance on losing everything we got over a racial slur. Because our son goes with the girl like that. I can't do that, Tucker. You can't expect Gary, Bonnie, Cecily, all them young kids to, because I'm in love for 7 months. I fucked that. So I'll help you get another job, but you cannot work here unless you break up with her and she's out of your life. I can't handle that shit. I got him in the parking lot trying to record us. I got that girl saying she's going to wear a recorder. I don't even know what to say.
All right, there's 2 parts of that I love. One is, they're never going to catch me using that word nigger. Except when I say it 6 more times in this recording. Okay, never going to happen. Not in my lifetime. I work too hard for them to catch me using the word nigger. Okay, number 2. No, I'm not talking about the niggers with no souls. I'm talking about regular niggers. Could you make heads or tails of what he was saying there?
He couldn't. That's the thing. You get mixed up. He thinks there's 2 different things when he gives a perfect example of how it's the same thing in his mind. I'm not going to let this nigger get me in trouble for saying nigger. What is she to him? I'm still trying to figure out what he identifies her as.
No, she's not the wrong kind of nigger. She's just the kind of nigger we call nigger. That's what he said in the conversation, right? That's what he said. I don't get it. And then he throws in the Mexican thing in there, and I got me totally confused. I can't tell what she is or why she is what she is. Well, all I know is, you think you're never going to get in trouble for that? You're quite wrong. You're in total trouble for it. Jarell Jackson, should A&E fire him for this?
This is horrible. There's no way he's going to stay on. He can't.
Oh, you think he's done?
There's no way they can. They can't.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's probably unrecoverable. By the end, every celebrity is going to be caught saying something racial and going to get fired. or homophobic or something like that. And by the end, every Republican is going to turn out to be gay. And they're going to leave until we realize everybody's doing this. But, look, the one thing that I love about it is how he was sure that he was never going to get caught doing it. And of course it turned out he was wrong. And by the way, I still don't get the distinction, and I think he means nigger. And so I think he's a bad guy and doesn't realize how bad a guy he is, and that's why he should be fired. Young Turks.
So, there's a lot to break down here. I think it's pretty clear that he's referring to, in the clip where he's repeating the N-word over and over, he's referring to Dog the Bounty's recorded phone call where he's presumably speaking about his son's girlfriend, who is probably a black woman. So some of you may look at that clip and say that, oh, it was a very long time ago, and it was. Or you may say that he's just repeating what Dog the Bounty Hunter said, so what's the problem? So as for the former, maybe it would have been fair to say that, if not for the additional context that I'm about to provide. And as for the latter, I just don't agree. Cenk, instead of saying the N-word, which it seemed like he enjoyed saying over and over and over again, he could have just said the N-word rather than continually say nigger. Even when you look at the song he chose to go with during the intro of that segment, the uncensored version of Jay-Z's song Jigga Who Jigga What, he can say that the selection of the song was by J.R. Jackson, who was a senior producer at the show, who is black, but Cenk was having a whole lot of fun with it, and I believe it just speaks to the culture at TYT. In January 2018, Andrew Jarell Jones filed a lawsuit for racial discrimination against TYT after working there for 6 months. In October 2017, Jones was fired from TYT after he allegedly refused to sign a contract that stated he would no longer speak of the allegations of discrimination by TYT. So instead of listening to an employee who complained about discrimination at his company, Cenk tried to silence this man. That's not very progressive of you, Cenk. I'm going to play a video of Jones explaining his time at TYT and the discrimination he experienced there.
Yesterday I came forward about the racial discrimination that I unfortunately dealt with at the Young Turks, and it certainly wasn't easy to do. My time at the Young Turks was both humiliating and unfortunate. In response, my old boss Cenk Uygur insinuated that I lied. He couldn't be more wrong. When I went to Cenk for help, he responded by telling me his old boss would tell me to shut the up and I should just deal with it. He also told me complaining about my discrimination complaints was something amounting to a fireable offense. I filed a complaint with the New York State Division of Human Rights because it's not right for journalists or anyone of color to be treated this way. The day has come for us to pull back the curtain on what really happens, even in progressive media. Cenk also said yesterday, quote, "We care a great deal about diversity in the workplace. That is part and parcel of what we do." Sadly, the Young Turks couldn't be further from that perceived ethos that he thinks his organization conducts. The Young Turks started their brand writing about African Americans in horrible terms. Their head of HR, Dave Kohler, wrote about black people in old blog posts discovered last month, quote, "Poor black people sweating in the sun." That was the same person who investigated my complaints by talking to me on the phone only once about my discriminatory complaints against my supervisor and never talking to me again about what the investigation he conducted resulted in. Cenk Uygur also said this about Native Americans in those old blog posts, quote, "Those Redskins show up everywhere, there's a buck to be made." and both Cenk and David Kohler joined themselves in shooting bottle rockets at the Martin Luther King Memorial. All those past actions both Cenk and Dave Kohler never apologized for until they were called out in press last month. So it's not shocking that when I needed help to have my claims of discrimination fully investigated, that there was no help to be found. I was either ignored or told to deal with it. Then I was placed under suspension, and then I was eventually fired/terminated. These terrible practices by the Young Turks are in clear violation of the Civil Rights Act, and it is salient, so important of us to make sure that we hold our employers accountable for when they don't follow the guidelines of such important legislation of equality. I hope my story can be able to be an inspiration for those who are experiencing the same levels of discriminatory behavior that I have unfortunately experienced at the Young Turks. All these words I say here, I truly do mean, and I hope that they can galvanize someone who is enduring the same level of awful behavior from their employer. Thank you all for watching this video, and may you all have a great rest of your day. Take care, and bye-bye.
So the Young Turks have a history of racism and discriminatory behavior from the CEO Cenk Uygur himself to the staff that he hired, as explained in the video. And Cenk allegedly firing Jones for the reasons stated is deeply, deeply illegal. But this should be no surprise to anyone, to be quite honest. To see this, look no further than the name of the show, The Young Turks. The show itself is named after the Young Turks government who partook in the Armenian Genocide during World War I from 1914 to 1918, where 600,000 to 1.5 million Armenians were murdered by the Young Turks. And Cenk, he used to deny the Armenian Genocide even took place. To be as fair as possible, he did apologize for his stance, and he admitted that the Armenian Genocide actually did take place. And he also apologized for using the N-word in the video that I first played over and over and over and over again. But his actions show that he's not actually sorry. Silencing an employee who dealt with racial discrimination and refusing to change the name of the show, The Young Turks, shows just who he and the Young Turks are. Cenk Uygur and the Young Turks constantly engage in moral preening while ignoring their own iniquities. So I gave as much context as possible, and Cenk still looks terrible. Historically, his actions have been inexcusable, and on the video where he just couldn't stop saying nigger, even his own audience wasn't feeling it. Look at the like to dislike ratio on this video. And let me read you some of the comments. So this first comment says, the host of this show said the N-word too much, just kind of flowed out easily. Kind of sounds like he's saying he's probably said it before. The next comment says, you gotta love the irony of this conversation. Next comment, Cenk seems to be having fun uttering that slur. Same thing I said. Ask the only black guy on set, how does that bother you? Yeah, this hasn't aged well. This next comment, it's quite interesting. I have never used the N-word once in my life, and this guy uses it 6 times in one conversation. Next comment, Making a video where you think using a word is bad, then using that bad word multiple times makes you look bad. And I can go on and on and on about the negative comments under that video. That video has about a 30% dislike rate, which is extremely high for a YouTube video. Most YouTube videos have around a 90% like rate. That tells you just how terrible that video was. And people weren't feeling him saying nigger over and over and over again. And finally, Anna Kasparian, she's an Armenian woman who claims that she's offended by those who deny the Armenian Genocide even took place. Yet, she remains employed as the executive producer at a place whose name celebrates the genocide of her people. That says a lot about her. But Anna Kasparian, she's another topic for another video. TYT is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Keep following them, you'll get devoured. TYT is nothing but failed and terrible shot jocks. And I'm going to spend this entire week exposing them. So that's all I got to say for this video. If you like the content, like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the post notifications to know when I post videos in the future. But I got to leave you with one more thing before the video is over, and that's the word of the day. The word of the day for today is deceive. Deceive is spelled D-E-C-E-I-V-E. The definition of deceive is cause someone to believe something that is not true, typically in order to gain some personal advantage. So now I will attempt to use deceive in a sentence. It is crazy to me that TYT is still able to deceive their audience into believing that they are progressive. That is extremely puzzling to me. Hopefully I use that sentence correctly. So all week I'm gonna be making videos exposing TYT and their hypocrisy. And the reason why I'm doing this, I was going to explain why in another video, but I'm explaining a bit why now. Them smearing people who were trying to force a vote on Medicare for all is absolutely disgusting to me. And I'm done with TYT. TYT, this video is not made to quote unquote cancel TYT. I'm creating this video because TYT cannot be leading any type of movement in order to get any progressive policies passed. If they want to be some trash tabloid shock jock type outlet, it's fine. They can be that. They can continue saying the word nigger and attract whatever audience they attract. They can say whatever foolishness that they've been saying that I'm going to be continually exposing as the week goes on. They can say all that stuff and find an audience who like that. That's fine. But they definitely cannot be leaders of a movement. They can't be a major name in this. They just can't. Smearing people who's fighting for Medicare for all, then pushing pro-war CIA talking points. You're lying about the OPCW report to try to start war in Syria. That's absolutely disgusting. So that's why I'm going to spend all week exposing TYT. So if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe because I'm bringing the heat. So that's all I gotta say for this video. No, it's not. I have a Patreon account. If you want to donate anywhere between $3 to $10 a month to help the channel grow massively, I really appreciate it. I'm going to leave the link in the description below. It's www.patreon.com/keep it100dre. Anywhere from $3 to $10 a month will help me grow massively. I really appreciate it. I also have a Buy Me a Coffee account. If you want to donate anything more than $10 or anything in between, rather. Buy Me a Coffee lets you choose how much you want to donate monthly. So it will literally be how much ever you want to donate. My Buy Me a Coffee is buymeacoffee.com/keep100Dre. Also be linked in the description. And anything you can donate will be much appreciated. If you can't donate anything, it's fine. I love you anyways. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications so you see my videos in the future, because YouTube will not share my videos unless you do so. Other than that, I appreciate y'all watching. 100% is peace.
I'm saying no, you can't go around saying Redskins. That's like using the N word for blacks or the W word for Latinos.
Now, the second reason why it's more callous is because there's absolutely no dispute over the name. It's a slur. Everybody knows it's a slur. It has no second meaning. So, like, for example, the UNLV mascot is the Runnin' Rebels. Now, the Confederate soldiers were also called rebels, but rebels has another meaning, a more common meaning, just means a rebellion, right? You could be Star Wars rebels, you could be Confederate rebels, you could be running rebels. In the case of UNLV, it's a reference to apparently Western settlers, okay? So I didn't know they were running or rebels, but apparently they are. So do I think that they mean anything racist by it? Absolutely not. So context matters. But there is absolutely no second meaning to the word, and I'm gonna say it here in this context here again, Redskins. It's an obvious slur. It's always been a slur. It's never not been a slur. It's never had a second meaning. So it's like keeping the N-word as your logo. There's just on that, there's just no nuance at all. There might be nuance when it comes to the Seminoles in Florida State. In fact, they do a good job with it. There might be nuance even when it comes to the Cleveland Indians. Their mascot is terrible. The name is an interesting debate. But for the Washington team, what possible other meaning could there be other than saying something terrible about a particular group of people?
That's
Hey, you know who lives in this house? A great big phony! That's right, a phony lives here! A big fat phony!
Well, I've been stacking up. Nah, really that ain't accurate, cause I just spent my whole damn advance in the past couple months just to compensate for times we ain't have enough. Ooh.